Let's get now into another on the ground spiritual game. Just go to help me the answer. I go to say Ayakata. Oh yeah. Ofe Shelu.
Ayakata.
Ofe Shegbo.
Ayakata.
Ofe Shelu.
Ayakata.
Ofe Shegbo.
Ayakata.
Ofe Shenwon.
Ayakata.
Ofe Shegben.
Ayakata.
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 Ayakoto.
Ayakata.
Ayakiti.
Ayakata.
Ayakutu.
Ayakata.
Ofe Shelu.
Ayakata.
Ofe Shegbon.
Ayakata.
Ofe Shelu.
Ayakata.
Ofe Shegbon.
Ayakata.
Oh! Basket mouth won't start to leak again. Oh.
Basket man won't open mouth again.
I bet you don't forget to say I sing you.
Basket man won't open mouth again.
I sing you say I go open my mouth like basket yo. My land will be akbere.
Basket man won't open mouth again.
Basket mouth won't start to leak again.
Basket man won't open mouth again.
I bet you don't forget to say I sing you.
Basket man won't open mouth again.
I sing you say I go open my mouth like a basket yo. My land will be akbere.
Basket man won't open mouth again.
Basket mouth won't start to leak again.
Basket man won't open mouth again.
Fella, what you go sing about you?
Never worry me.
Fella, what you go sing about you?
Never worry me.
Fella, what you go sing about you?
Never worry me.
Ain't go worry me, worry me. Worry, 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 worry.
Never worry me.
They want to make us sing about the prison.
Never worry me.
Ain't go worry me, worry me. Worry, worry, all over the town.
Never worry me.
They want to know about the prison life.
Never worry me.
Ain't go worry me, worry me. Worry, worry, all over the town.
Never worry me.
They want to make us sing about the prison.
Never worry me.
Then go worry me, worry me, worry, 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 worry.
Never worry me.
They want to know about the prison life.
Never worry me.
Then go worry me, worry me, worry, 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 worry.
Never worry me.
Fella, what you go sing about you?
Never worry me.
Then go worry me, worry me, worry, 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 worry.
Never worry me.
All right, peace and love, family. Black Elephant Podcast back again. We got some of the usual suspects. I'm Zeke checking in. We have over here
Brother Oja. We got Drew in the house.
Yeah, what's up? This Josiah. What's going on, y'all? It's K-Dub, Kenny Wilson, CEO BMV. How's everybody doing tonight?
All right. Glad to see everybody. Happy to do this again. So today we're gonna talk about do African people, black people, do we conform in order to make it in corporate America, or better yet, society, just in American society? So That's the topic of the day. And who wants to take a stab at this first? Somebody grab the mic. Go ahead.
I would say off the jump that it really does depend on what environment you're in. But of course, right, as a minority in the country, you have to decide on a daily basis of where your culture that you grew up with, what you'll accept from there and what you'll accept from the majority culture. Like, how can you maneuver in order to achieve success? Because the dominant culture is not your own. So from that standpoint, you have to conform. You have to find some means of being accepted. And then that's up to the individual based on if that's a good thing or a bad thing, or if that just is what it is. But from the mere fact that the cultural standpoint you're growing up with is different from the one that you're going into, yeah, you got to have some means of changing. There's no judgment on it, but I'm just saying that's it. That is what it is.
I agree with that. Also, I'll say too, talking from the standpoint of, business and me personally being a black businessman, every day I can tell you I have to conform. First of all, as a black businessman, I didn't create any of the systems, any of the processes, anything that are involved in the business I operate. So I'm constantly having to conform to those systems and to get things done. Part of the reason I even started business, years ago, was to try to create my own systems and try to do things my own way. I think that's what a lot of people, they get into business for those reasons, especially black people, because they're tired of seeing how things are done and they want to do something different. They want to do it their own way. Either they want to put their mark on things or they just want to do it differently. For me, it was like I was working, doing different things, and I got tired of seeing how stuff was done. And I felt like I could do it different. I felt like I could do it better. So, not even, I think that's just, especially, and then black, oh man, where do I start? Not even just processes and systems and how to operate, but being a black man, how I look, how I'm viewed, how I speak. People see me, like all of that stuff. Like I don't think people understand. Like when you talk about like corporate America and things like that, not even just corporate America, but just like 9 out of 10 times in your jobs, the jobs you work. If you're black, you are different. Because most of the time you are the minority. You don't look like and talk like and sound like everyone else, So you constantly have to conform. I remember being a young man. I remember going in my first couple of jobs and, I was young. So I was walking in there with like fitted hats on and stuff like that. And I didn't look the part, because you remember back in the day. Yeah. And it wasn't until I started getting older and I was like, oh man, this actually matters, And so I had to start changing it up. Why? To gain the respect of the people around me. They had to start seeing me as being serious. I had to start looking like I was knowledgeable, like I knew what I was talking about. Yeah, I had the skill set, but if people don't take you seriously or they don't think you know what you're talking about, you don't get far,
But not too serious.
I couldn't be too serious. Like I couldn't, because then I wouldn't be around. But so I had to start changing. And like I said, me, being a black man, there's certain things, even the slang I say, the way I say things, all that had to change, just to try to gain some respect and try to get people to understand me and view my viewpoints and look at me as an equal. All that stuff was there. So definitely, and it wasn't easy. And it's something that I was frustrated then and it still frustrates me now. Like, why do I have to do certain things? Why do I have to dress a certain way? Why do I have to talk a certain way to try to get my foot in the door? Nah, I want to be me. Part of the reason why I started this magazine, part of the reason why we started this podcast and things like that. Because no, we're going to do it our way. So it's something I feel every day. It's something I'm passionate about. It's something that just angers me from time to time because it shouldn't have to be like that. Like I can tell you so many different things. Like, I have earrings in my ear. I wear earrings. And I remember going into a meeting, they were like, you got to take your earrings off to see this person. What? Why? That was part of me, just like I said, how I dress certain things. And also I'm a large black man too. So, people see me and apparently I'm very visible. Like you can't miss me in meetings and stuff like that. I can get loud. So even as I'm running on this tangent right now, because I just want people to know, like, even if you don't think you're doing it, you are doing it. If you're black, I'm going to tell you right now, in some way, shape, or form, you are doing it. You are changing. You are conforming. So No, try to be who you are. And my thing is, if you can't be who you are, then you probably need to reevaluate where you are.
I guess for me, I'd say yes, you do have to conform. Is it right to a degree? Not really. If I'm conforming, I don't mind having to dress a certain type of way to show up to a job. I think that's kind of understandable. I mean, if you're in the corporate world, let's say you're a lawyer or you're in one of those Fortune 500 companies, you don't want to show up there in like torn jeans and stuff like that. I could understand that type of conforming. That makes
True.
sense.
Yeah.
Where I draw the line is where it comes to who I am as an individual, as far as things like, for example, the way my hair is. You know, let's say I have an African background and my background is dreadlocks, and then you're telling me I can't show up in the office place because of my dreadlocks.
Yeah.
You know, to me that's where I draw the line. You know, it's like if I choose to grow a beard,
Yeah.
you know, then let me grow my beard. You know, my background doesn't. You know, my ancestors weren't shaved. You know, they didn't have a shaved face. They didn't have. You know, they grew their hair. So that's just how my background is. My cultural background. So if I want to grow dreadlocks or I want to grow a beard, as long as I look decent with it, you know, and I'm, you know, it's not like I'm coming to work and I don't shower and I'm smelling bad or anything like that, you know. But when it comes to like my personal body space, then that's where I have to draw the line. That's where I draw the line when it comes to that.
All right, for me, I think we should never have to conform, you know, on any level to be forced to do anything. Obviously, other than, you know, the dress code, which is, I mean, that's standard. But I mean, it's just like basically this oppressing class is forcing how they look on everybody else. Again, if I want to grow a beard, why am I not allowed to? I mean, it's just hair. You know, if I do the job better than you, actually, because you're coming to me and asking me questions now. Yes, you hired me, but you're still asking me how to do things. You know, so it's not like I'm an idiot, for real. So, I mean, I just think they just don't want us to get up that ladder. Because then, when we get up that ladder, now we'll start, you know, hiring people that look like us. You know, now we start to grow, we start to build. And then we go to higher places. And then things change. That's what we want, right? We want change. What is corporate now? How's it run? How many CEOs are black? How many? I'll wait.
Very low, if any.
How many are white? Like 95, 96% of them?
12, right?
So that's why it's like this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we don't need to conform, man. Just do what we do. Just be better, because we know we are. You know, and just kill it.
Yeah, and I think one of the things we're talking about, like conforming, especially like the corporate world, I think you guys are on to something here. But one of the things I really wanted to get out there was talking about like culture, you know, and not just with like dress and things like that, but like we conform with culture. You know, there's a lot of things that, you know, we can't do in the workplace because of our culture. Like I remember like trying to listen to rap music. How come I can listen to Kenny G in the office, you know, and that was fine. But as soon as I turned on some you know, Jay-Z, even if it was the clean version, that was a problem. So that's just a small, you know, tale, and I'm kind of, you know, kidding with that. But, you know, for real, like there's certain, you know, imbalances that our culture doesn't get as well too. You know, like holidays. I know before the podcast we were talking about like holidays and things like that, certain calendar events and things that are significant to our culture. Those things don't get recognized. You know, those things aren't there. So that's a way of like our culture having to conform. You know, we recognize other calendar holidays and stuff like that. We're kind of forced to. Some of them we get days off, and people are actually happy about that stuff, not even realizing why you got the day off in the first place. But you know, we do that stuff all the time too. So I think one thing is how can we begin to integrate our culture? how can we begin to not conform as much? You know, like I said, I'm pretty sure we're doing this podcast, and I'm pretty sure there's some people out there who are thinking to themselves like, I didn't even realize I was doing this. You know, and so it's like, you know, my thing is with everyone at the table, like, how can we begin to, you know, really bring that thought around, begin to change it.
Yeah, real quick, I was gonna ask the question, like, when we talk about conforming, what specifically are we referring to? And I know indirectly, we all have a concept for the people out there. Like, what are we thinking about? Like, what are we specifically talking about? Because it goes deeper than just wearing your clothes. You know, it goes deeper than just wearing your clothes. Because I was gonna say, just as the advocate on the other side, on the flip side, folks who do own Fortune 500 companies, whoever, like, people want to be comfortable.
Yeah.
They want to be comfortable. And like you're saying, from our cultural standpoint, because of our backgrounds, things we know historically, we are constantly trying to change things to make them better for everyone involved. Whereas folks in powers that be, crap, that's going to mess my piece up. I mean, that's all good for you.
Yeah.
But I run things around here. I'm trying to be comfortable here. It's not even personal. I just personally want to be comfortable. You know, and I know nowadays, because our whole generation is different. A lot of folks will say, well, you know what? You can wear your beard how you want to. You can even wear locks, but there's a payoff for it. Yeah, you can stay truly who you are, 100%. That don't mean I have to hire you.
Yeah.
Or you can stay truly who you are, 100%. But do know that you're paying for it, literally. You're going to stay at that job.
Yeah.
And because of the people that you're going to have to be in front of, this is my business. I need a face that I feel comfortable. They're going to want to invest in. I might be cool with it, but they ain't.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So just other stuff to think about or put out there in terms of defining and all that stuff.
For me, when we talk about conforming, we can't talk about it. We can't talk about conforming for African people without talking about compromising, because that's all it means. It's one thing if we're conforming and we're not giving up who we are, what makes us. In order to conform, we have to go against our nature. So to me, that's really where the problem comes in. And another thing is, how should we talk to the what type of energy should we be speaking to people with? Should we be talking to them from almost like as God beings? That's one way. Should we talk to them as people that are aware but trying to navigate and almost acquiesce? Or should we talk to them in the energy and the nature of simply doing the best we can, the way we do now, conforming in terms of doing the best we can to get as much as we can with the least amount of kickback? So I think we really have to pick what angle we wanna address this thing at, because even when we're talking about confirmation, think about it from a spiritual sense. Like, the hair that naturally, for me, the hair that naturally grows on my head, I can't wear that. That doesn't even make sense. I can't, because I am doing it. It's like we just have to talk about what we have to do in order to get to where we want to get to, and then just doing that. I don't think we should ever be talking about what would stop us from a man-made establishment point of view. So that's just my opinion in terms of this whole topic. So anybody can...
Oh, that was addressed to me?
No, he was addressing everybody.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that, because things can be taken to a deeper level, right? And many of the holy scriptures or whatever background you come from, most of them always refer to not conforming to the world, not changing your spirit and your humanity for whatever a job is or whatever you feel the world is asking you to do. And when it's asking you to do something different, then that's when you need to recognize that, okay, that's probably not the direction I need to go to. And like in terms of corporate worlds, I understand some of the things they're asking for from folks. Whether I agree with it or not, that's different. But I understand some of the policies, why they ask you to do this. It's not even a cultural thing. It's like, listen, it's business. You messing with my green. Yes, I love your locks. I love your hair. Man, I love your skin. I love your music. I love all that stuff. But if I have an investor who's a billionaire coming in and you're going to make me lose my $1 billion contract, I'm sorry. It's not worth it. I'm not comfortable with that. But on another end, as an individual, like I had a job interview, and this was when I was younger, so it wasn't the wisest thing to do. And I won't say what the corporation is because I don't want anybody to get sued or nothing like that. But I'm in a job interview. The final interview is literally the last interview of the day. I've gone through everything, all the different group interviews, all the different big company. I'm excited. It's in the city too. I'm about to own a house in DC. I'm about to get paid, all this stuff. Anyway, I looked through some research. This was one of the diversity officers. I looked through some research on their minorities in the company and what they're doing to improve their numbers for Latinos, for Asian Americans, all that stuff. I'm looking through it. I'm doing research because that's what they ask you to do. So when she asked, do you have any questions? I have some questions involved. I'm a black man, African, Native American. Crap. I'm gonna ask some questions. So she asked me, last question of the day. All in divine order. It's the last question of the day. Great interview. She's smiling. She's happy. We're joking around. Great rapport and everything. And then she says, is there anything else? I said, yes, ma'am. You know, I've seen that you're in the top 10 in all the corporations in the world. Top 10 in increasing your Latin American population, your African, and your Asian American population. Well, what are you doing differently in your African American population? Because you weren't in the top 10. So I just was interested, you know, in what policies or initiatives, right? I think it's a harmless question. Yo, I just want to know what you doing differently. I'm black. Like, what you doing to hire more of us? Her face just kind of goes blank. Well, that is a great question, sir. Let me find someone to answer that for you, right? And needless to say, I didn't get the job. That might not have been the only thing. Like, granted, you know, I might not have been the best applicant. Yet everyone I spoke to was talking to me, expecting me to come back. Everyone I emailed afterward was like, for feedback. It's like, oh, no, we actually thought you had the job. Everything we talked about was, we liked you and everything. Everyone gave me their information, all the other stuff. And when I talked to my advisor, she was like, yo, I thought everything was going well. What happened? And so I told her what happened through the day. She's like, no, that sounds good. That sounds good. I was getting the right answers and all this stuff. And then I told her, yeah, so I had these questions and she looked at me. She's like, why? Why did you ask about that? Why? Why did you just let that go? And I'll stop after this. I don't want to hog the mic. But because internally, that's naturally who I am. I care about our people. I care about what folks are doing for us. Yeah, I don't like lip service. I like reality. Mm-hmm. And she was just looking at me like, oh man, Shaka, this. I guess that's who you are, right? I guess that's who you are. But next time, leave all those questions until you're hired. You can figure that out then. And I just kept thinking ever since, like, okay, well, you know what? In divine order, maybe that's not the job. If off a question, I mess myself up off a simple question and concern of what they're doing for people of color, well, maybe that's not the place that I want to be.
And I just want to add one more thing before people start going in, but yeah, everything we're talking about literally is like, it's still coming from the position of we're asking, we're begging.
Right. I got you.
I need this from you. Should businesses and all of that be able to not hire people based on dreads, based on like just their skin color, all that shit? Like, I think yeah, because it's their business. We don't have, it's their business. It's none of our business. If we start focusing on our business, then we make the protocols, we make the rules, we make the culture. You know what I mean? Even people complain about work hours, people complain about wearing a tie and all of that, but like if they're supplying your livelihood, if they're the one that writes the check that you now take to feed your family, then it's like you're already telling them what position you are. So that's what you have to do. You have to take orders or whatever. And I'm not saying that from like a stance of nobody should work or anything like that. It's just if you're working right now, in terms of for somebody, I feel like the focus should be, okay, how do I part, because we all have to start from somewhere. We don't come from inheritance to where, okay, I'm just gonna start working for myself as soon as I have the idea or whatever. So if we're gonna go through that gauntlet, if we're gonna go through that grind, that battlefield to where we don't belong, let's try to minimize the time we spend there. So instead of spending on certain luxuries or spending on certain vacations or whatever, every single day you're at work, just be aware enough or whatever to do your job functionally. But even on the job, be thinking about, how am I gonna get out of this? What am I gonna spend on or invest on, or what skill am I gonna learn? What am I gonna do when I leave the plantation in order to free myself financially? So I think that really has to be the focus. But go ahead.
No, I think that brings about a good part. One, stack your brain, get up out of here. Two, I think from the point of, I think you guys are right. They do have the right to say that. I can tell you, on the other hand, I've been in a position. I've run companies or organizations. I have my own. I've been in charge of hiring people, and the one thing that I've always found consistent, maybe I'm just wrong, I don't know, but how people look, especially people of color and things like that, like, it never matters about the job they're doing in their function. I mean, like, unless you like visible and you on TV, and like it's like you said before, unless they just look dirty or something. Like, but 9 out of 10 times, if most jobs we're talking about, like, all that stuff shouldn't even matter anyway. Like, if you had dreads or not, it shouldn't matter. I'm trying to figure out if you can do the job or not. Who cares how I look? Like, look, them dreads might help you do the job better. I don't know. That stuff it shouldn't even matter. So, like, the stuff we're talking about, like, to me, I'm thinking about it back at times, and it's like so ridiculous. And also, to me, it goes deeper than work. It goes deeper than corporate America. It goes back to the foundation of how we are viewed by people.
That's deep. That's how deep it is, man.
It's deep. You gotta slam the plate. Yeah. We don't have the computer sound effects. We just slam the plate.
We got the real. This is real.
Yeah. We just banging on tables and stuff. Sickness. So, but for real. So I think it goes. I think it goes back to that stuff, like how black people, especially black men, how we're treated, how we're viewed, and things like that. So I think that's the root of this stuff. It just carried over to corporate America. Now, I'm going to hit everybody with a curve. So we know how that goes down. Now, what about black-owned businesses? Because here's one of the things that boils me to this day, when we do it to each other. So when we have black-owned businesses and things like that, and we still take some of these hiring practices and viewpoints, and then we hold back our own people to some degree, because they're still held by some of those standards, and they're not hired based on some of those things. To me, and I've seen it and can't deny that it doesn't happen. So I've seen it. So that's one of the things like I said, it gets to me. Talk about banging on tables and stuff. I get crazy. So who wants to chime in on that? Cause
for that though, we definitely gonna the black owned businesses and the politics there. We're gonna address that completely on the second half.
All right.
When we come back.
Banging on tables.
But before we go to break, Dre, you had something to say about?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that's the deeper level of conforming, in the workplace, because now you're a black man or a black woman. You conform. You moved up the ladder because you conformed. Don't get it twisted. You conform, which is why you moved up the ladder.
Yes, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And not only did they switch up your behavior, they switched up your mindset and your heart for your people. So now when you have your business, it is instilled in you because of them. Now you treat your employees the exact same way. And now your business goes to shit. You're not helping your people, you're selfish, everything. Everything that they taught you, you just, you continue it. And you don't really help anyone else build. If you do, it's the white folk. I guess you saw it that they helped you get there, so then once you get there, you help them even more. But you have your own now. You're supposed to set up your people. But I'm gonna pass the mic.
Kenny, to speak on what you talked about with the black-owned businesses, I've been in situations where I was a manager at this one business place. Now, it wasn't black-owned. The company was white-owned, but the branch that I was managing, of course, I'm black, so black on. Out of all the employees that I've hired there, I've never judged anyone by the way they looked. I've hired, now the company standard, they didn't want anyone with, they want clean shaved and stuff like that at the front desk. I've hired people with beard, I've hired people with dreadlocks. It didn't matter. Like you said earlier, as long as you can do the job, that's all I care about. Now, on the flip side, I have worked for a black-owned company where I was treated differently because I had a beard, and they wanted to get rid of me because of my beard. And this is a black-owned company. So, it's just unfortunate that, even our own people would treat us that way. And it's not like I wasn't doing the job. I was doing the job. The issue was the fact that I had facial hair. I even told the boss one time, I said, if I was white, this would have never been an issue. And he agreed. He said, he said, it's because you're black is why it's an issue, because people look at you differently. So it's just unfortunate that even our own people are willing to do something like that, treat us like that, just to make it in this corporate world.
It was just one sentence. I was just gonna say, but that's part of the job, right? Even you take the physical or stuff you see. Can you listen to rules? Can you follow those rules? Can you follow what I'm saying? And if you can't do the simple stuff of following what type of shirt or what type of hat to wear and not to wear, well then how can I trust you're gonna follow something deeper on who to hire and who not to hire? Or, hey man, can you do this small thing for me that don't seem correct? I need to know that you're gonna do exactly what I'm asking, regardless if internally you have some issue with it.
I need you to know if you on board.
Right, exactly, and that's what we were getting to earlier.
And wow, that was actually a perfect kind of segue, because what I was gonna say, for one, with how black people would treat you when they have a business, their capitalism, all the structures that we're doing within the confines right now, we're just emulating. So a black person running a black business is simply emulating a white business, and they all the things that come with it, the mentality, and that goes into everything really. We're emulating the way we pray, our ideas on religion, the way we eat. Everything is an emulation of the white guy, the white woman, or whatever. So that's that. And another thing I wanted to say was, we talk about how sometimes it might not be the employer that has an issue, but it's the people that you're serving or whatever. Like, oh, if you're at a Fortune 500 company, you're gonna be in front of these type of people or whatever. But at what point does the goodness outweigh the green pieces of paper? At what point is it like, well, the $1 billion investor that would have a problem with someone simply having a natural beard or a natural hair, his money isn't valuable? At what point do we hold those type of standards? Because if we don't, nothing changes. And because capitalism, there always has to be a consumer base. There's always going to be the manufacturers. There's going to always be the different levels. So with that being said, we're starting from the whole, not even the bottom level. We're starting from like below the basement. We're underground. So we in this current climate, we can never like simply navigate on the monopoly board and think we're gonna hit the right pieces and then we'll be at the same level. The game's rigged. You see what I'm saying? So it's just like, I think when we're talking about even conforming to the corporate world or whatever, we have to just kind of get out of the business mentality. We have to start going more into what we can do for each other with what we have right now.
Yeah.
Oh, but now I think we're gonna. I'm sorry. I think we're gonna be going. We're gonna be wrapping up to break soon in a second here. But hey, Kenny, did you have something to say?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're gonna edit this. So I'm gonna say my piece and then I'll take us in the break. Okay, you'll edit this. So what I was gonna say, I think from being a black business owner, one of the things I really have to do is, one, it's real easy to fall into that hamster wheel of doing the same thing the way it's always been done. It's easy to do that. So I almost have to fight almost on a daily basis to force myself to think and do things differently. How I treat people, how I deal with people, like business practices, everything has to be a conscious thought. Like you said, starting from the hole, it's a deep hole.
Right.
Like, because everyone else is doing things the same way.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like I'm the only one that's doing something different. So that makes me an outcast. That makes me different. So like we were talking earlier, I have to go out of my way to show people different. So all my business practices, when I do like hiring practices, things like that, like to show a different way, it had to be done. Like it had to be like almost like it was forced. It was real, And so I think a lot of people don't want to get to that point because again, it takes effort. A lot of people are comfortable.
Right.
We're comfortable. People might not like what they do. They might not like it. Oh, I don't like to be treated differently, love. But you still end up doing it. Why? Because you're comfortable, or you don't want to mess your money up too. But as a business owner, I think, and other business owners, I think it starts where we have to consciously make effort to do things differently and find different formulas and things like that. I think that takes us coming together, having these conversations, and figuring out from each other what else can we do, because this is hard. This is not easy, and this is going to put you on an island. It just is.
Right.
So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and take a break right now. When we come back, we'll finish this conversation. Remember, Black Elephant Podcast on BMV Magazine.
Hi, I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from Financial Juneteenth and the Black Wealth Boot Camp. I had a quick thought that really just hit me like a thunderstorm. And as you know, I like to teach, I like to share. And you can forgive me for the way I look. I was actually almost done. I had my sleeves rolled up and I was working on stuff getting ready for the boot camp and also some other stuff that I have going on each day. And I had this thought that I had to share this with you, and I don't know if you can identify with this or not, but I wanted to throw it out there. Have you ever gone to work every day and you work, let's say you're working for a business. Most of us as black people have worked for a white person at some point. In fact, Claude Anderson often talks about the fact that after slavery, I think he says 98% of all black people worked for a white person, and 150 years later, 98% of all black people work for a white person. So most of us have worked for a white business or a white person at some point. Nothing against white people, but we're often more comfortable working for ourselves. Not all the time, but most of the time. At the very least, you're more likely to be judged based on your skill as opposed to the color of your skin. Have you ever gone to work each day and literally felt like you were walking into a freaking war zone? Like, have you ever just felt that going to work was like you had to be ready for battle? Like you had to watch your back. You couldn't trust anybody. You have to constantly be ready for these attacks. You feel like you have a chip on your shoulder. You feel like you're always under threat. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what people are saying about you. You're always just kind of worried and on edge because you feel like you can relax at home, but you may not feel like you can really relax on the job. For example, a lot of us will go to parties, and you probably heard this, where they tell you, like, look, the white folks can go to the party and get drunk, but you don't do that. Because if your black butt does that, you will be fired. Your black ass will be on the unemployment line, and everybody else will get a pass. I don't know about you, but I've seen so many examples of that. So many situations where we've accepted a racial double standard. We've accepted this idea that because we are guests in someone else's home, so to speak, we have to be on our P's and Q's, on our toes, watching our back constantly, and really completely aware of making sure that we don't do anything that gets us identified in a way that's going to cause us to lose opportunities. Here's what I figured out. It ain't supposed to be that way. Going to work is not supposed to be a war zone. It shouldn't be, because that's stressful. I mean, they have soldiers that get post-traumatic stress disorder because they're going into war zones. Now, not to say that this is as bad as what a soldier goes through. No comparison there. Not entirely. But it's not healthy.
Yo, what's going on, listeners? This your boy from behind the scenes of the Black Elephant Podcast. What's up? I'm here to let you guys know about events and announcements going on in the DMV so y'all don't miss out, all right? Without further ado, let's get started. The National Museum of African American History opened on September 23rd. It's the first museum of its kind in DC, so be sure to go check it out, man. Neil deGrasse Tyson's at the Warner Theater, October 19th. Also, Holiday Bazaar, Reginald F. Lewis Museum in Baltimore, November 26th to December 10th. Looking for local handmade gift ideas from some of the area's most talented artists and artisans? Shop adult and children's book, fine art, crafts, jewelry, ceramics, woodworking, accessories, bath and body products, and more for your family and loved ones. Looking to do community service? Feed the homeless. St. Stephen and Incarceration Episcopal Church, Washington, D.C., October 23rd. Go to www.meetup.com/iblack-dmv for more info. And if you guys got any announcements, y'all hit us up. The Black Elephant THE podcast at gmail.com, Twitter at DBlackElephant, DA, and IG at DBlackElephant THE podcast. What's up? Check us out. And we're going to get back to the podcast right now, but be sure to hear my voice next week. Bless.
All right, y'all. Black Elephant Podcast. We back from the break, so now we're just gonna keep the conversation going. So, who wants to pick up? Josiah, go ahead. Just, we're gonna keep the juices flowing.
Josiah is grubbing right now.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go ahead.
Or
And jump
Dre,
in.
or Kenny.
I'm gonna let y'all jump in. Like, look, this has been wonderful for me, y'all. Be honest. So talking about black-owned business before we ended, we're talking about just the practices of black-owned businesses, black people, and how just we treating each other, treating our own people. So this is a difficult for me. Like I ended and I was banging on tables and stuff, about to bang on them again. I just feel like we take the practices that have already been learned. We take the practices that the ones that we did not develop, and we try to apply them into how we operate things. And I don't think it works. It doesn't work. I mean, like, let's be real. Not everything applies to, those systems don't apply to black people. They don't apply to how we operate lives and families and things like that, our cultures. So, and it, as we've always talked about, especially here, like unifying black people, providing opportunities for other black people. Why is it that we can't do that for ourselves? Why? Because we don't use the systems that apply to us. And one and two is just I feel like we've developed this culture of, once we make it, we kind of like different, like this whole like make it out the hood mentality. I know from a business perspective, I remember like trying to rise through the ranks and things like that myself, and it was like the higher I got, the more disconnected I became. With everything, with the people that I was serving, whatever the situation was, you became disconnected. So the higher I got, the more disconnected. So I can definitely tell you at the height of black business, you become disconnected to a certain degree. And it took a lot to get me grounded, to fight to stay grounded, to the point where like I had to like take different jobs and stuff like that because I felt like I wasn't grounded. But then again, the higher you up, you learn those cultures, because once you get to like executive level and things like that, it changes again. So you work your way up, you're doing certain things, and then you get to that level of leadership. And they use that word leadership, and then things change. And then now you're talking about like how you're hiring, managing people and stuff like that. And they want you to look at things a certain way. And because there aren't many black people in leadership positions, that there's a culture up there that doesn't know how to deal with black people. Right? They don't see too many of them. They don't know how to, So you almost, again, using that word conform, you conform to the practices of leadership, of corporate leadership, business leadership, things like that. And then when you get your own business, you just carry that stuff over. Like I think you said that earlier, Dre. So to me, it's like, how? I had to come to a point, how do I change this? How do I begin to look at things differently? Because you can't just say it. It has to be like, again, talking about creating new systems and creating different ways of doing stuff and throwing out the way it's been done before. So my thing was I just had to look at, one, how I treated black people. I mean, one, and my environments. One, I deal with black people. I'm a black man. So my first thought is to give black people opportunity. And it's so twisted. It's so skewed. I think there's a perception that like black people aren't qualified, which is the biggest bunch of bullshit ever. So that was the first thing, thinking about like, one, this, for whatever you're trying to do. And again, I got to the point where it wasn't like, I wasn't looking at people because they were black or white. There were candidates out there, one, two, and also how I promoted business and how I promoted jobs. That was another thing too. So I was promoting in black communities. I was promoting, looking for people, employees where black people were. If I wasn't on, some of the websites and avenues, I was about to name a couple, let me not. But I had to appeal to black people. I had to go to where they were, But that was all I had to do. It wasn't like I had to do something creative and different, and no, the job description was still the same. The job was still the same. I just, looked for black people where I went to where I knew first. And that's all I really did. And I think that change, that shift alone, it worked out. I don't know. Somebody else jump in, because I get on, I get on tangents.
Yeah, I wanted to go back a little bit and talk about the whole cultural side of the corporate world. I still think to a degree. Now, I know when last I touched on the topic, I talked about facial hair, dreadlocks, things of that nature. And someone mentioned about the culture in the corporate world. And I still think that if we should use the word Western culture is still being imposed on us, regardless of if it's dreadlocks or beard.
Yeah.
Because now when you think about it, a three-piece suit ain't nothing but a European outfit.
It is.
So when I come to the corporate world and you're telling me I have to wear this suit, you're still imposing your culture on me.
Exactly.
And then you're denying me my culture.
Exactly.
So if this supposed to be the whole falsehood of equality and justice and all this type of stuff, then you're just blowing smoke, really, because you're imposing your culture on me still.
Thank you.
If I'm from Africa, and in the African culture, the business attire, whether it's a Fortune 500, because not all Fortune 500 companies come from Europe.
Right.
You know what I mean? So if my business attire is in a particular African garment, right, and I come to an American corporate company to work, I can't wear a business attire fit into my culture.
Exactly.
Just like how I can't wear my hair fit into my culture, I have to conform to your way in order to make it. So even if it's the company's policy, there's still discrimination involved there on a deeper level. Because I've worked in HR, and I know HR. There's this part in HR where they talk about they don't discriminate against creed and culture and this and that and the other. But when you really dig deeper under all that black and white print on a piece of paper, they're still doing it systematically regardless. So I just wanted to touch on that. Another thing I wanted to touch on too was when you guys were talking earlier about the whole spiritual side of the speaking that all white people are evil. I don't think there's a spiritual disconnection with that, because he didn't say he hates all white people. Saying they're evil is just an observation. Saying you hate them says it's coming from your heart. Now, I didn't mention him saying he hated it. He hated it. So that's why I had to jump in there and say that, because then that does not disqualify the spiritual side of it, because he's not preaching hate. He's just making an observation that they're evil. Just like how you can make any observation about any other race or any other person and point out an observation about that without hating the person.
So you think it's easy for folks to objectively make an observation without adding subjective emotion toward that?
Well,
especially an extreme one.
Well, I don't know. I don't think it's extreme.
And I was just gonna ask what makes it extreme.
That you were saying all white people.
Mm-hmm.
That is extreme. Literally, the fact that it's all makes it literally an extreme.
Do all black people have melanin? Do all black people have more melanin than white people?
Yes.
Is that extreme?
Yeah. It doesn't mean that it's incorrect.
Oh, well. So
I'm saying all. The fact that it's all. The fact that it's all takes it from here to here.
Okay.
Okay.
So it
and actually, whoa. And actually, yes, it is extreme, because folks who would be considered black in this country, there are some who do have less melanin than folks who would be considered white in this country.
Considered. We're
right.
Doing what they are, not considered, because that's just phenotype there.
I'm saying, based upon our conversation, some folks, not all, some folks who are considered black do have a lower melanin count than some folks who are considered white, who consider themselves white. If that's,
you're saying that's fact?
Yes.
Right.
I would. Yes.
We have to debate. I mean, we'll have to. I didn't know that one.
I'm sorry. I had to ask the question because you brought it out, and which was more directed to me than anything else. Continue.
No, I mean that was. I just wanted to highlight those two things.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Dre, you gonna jump in a second, but another question, Shaka, I want to ask is, what's wrong with being extremely correct?
I like that. That was pretty good.
I'm just.
I like that. That was tough. No, but that is supposing that observation is correct. Now, again, if you wanted to say that Western culture or the white race, because of the stuff they've done historically, from that standpoint, factually, you can say yes, based upon our definition of evil, that fits it. These actions throughout history fits it. I got you. But to say all white people discounts those individuals who themselves do not conform to Western culture. You know what I'm saying? Who do not conform to the things that we would consider evil and do things that we would consider good.
And with everything we've ever been through, and we're still going through, why would it ever matter that we're discounting a white person? So now we need to make sure that we don't hurt their feelings. Hey, I'm a white person that's doing good to me. Don't put me in there. It's like they overgeneralize. When they was bringing us from Africa, they didn't pick and choose like, hey, let's take this one and that one.
Oh, they did. That joint is a business. You don't, man, if you selling hats, you don't just pick up any hat. You pick up the ones you think gonna make the most money off.
Technically, when they were taking them from Africa, they took all they can. The reason why they did that is because
some are gonna make it and some are not.
Right.
Yeah.
So you take all you can, and then once you get here, then you start picking and choosing.
But still, even with that, there were specific groups of people that they chose and ones that they did not. For instance, I don't know the group of people, the name of the nation, but for Salvador in Brazil, the people who brought them over, they brought a specific group of people from the country that is now considered Angola. They asked for them specifically. Folks were looking for them specifically because of their features. They didn't go to other groups. They chose them. They didn't go to all groups.
We're still talking about something different. All you're talking about there is them simply being wise in their business decision on the best pieces of meat, which would be us as African people, because they viewed us as that.
I'm just answering the question.
But they weren't. What I'm saying is they weren't not overgeneralizing for the sake of being kind or for the sake of not harming someone. That's what I'm saying. So for us to have been through everything we've gone through, and now we're teaching our youth like, hey, some white people are doing some good stuff here. Don't include them. It's like, throw them all under that bus.
It's not throwing folks under a bus. It's getting people. The thing is, we want things right now. We want to have action right now. We want to have things deeper right now, and therefore we go to extremes to try and try to get people to make this specific action that we want from them. When in fact, the long-term value of teaching truth, of teaching things that you know are exact and cannot be broken away from, cannot be said, oh well, that's fiction, and that's why. That distracted me right there.
Sorry, bro.
No, but that in itself takes a long-term value, and yes, it's going to take some time. But again, the actions that Western culture and white society has put in place, those are the things that they do that take time. Like we're focusing on the front stuff that they're doing in face value. They're already 2 levels ahead. They're thinking 20. They're planning 20 and 30 levels ahead on long-range stuff that are small. That other folks would be like, oh, that's cool, but they've already built that up. We have to do the same. And I understand your point, and I get what you're saying in terms of trying to teach the youth to not trust or believe in Western culture, period. But in order to do so on a long-term way, you got to make sure that everything you say is fact. So when they come and they use the analytical brains that we train them up to use, they don't start questioning us and say, oh, you lied to me, now I can't believe what you're saying. Because as soon as that happened, that's when someone from Western culture brings you up and can be like, yeah, I understand why you're mad. Let me train you and show you another way of getting back at that. That's how we lose folks.
Not really.
The Nation of Islam.
That's not how you lose folks. That's how you lose weak-minded people.
Thank you.
Oh, no, I completely disagree.
No,
throughout the 60s and the 70s, folks who went from, yo, black people, to going and working with white people to destroy them are the same folks who thought they were lied to. That's not weak.
That's weak-minded.
Does it take a weak-minded person to commit suicide?
If you're putting your hand up for a cause, and then a white man can come and put a little bit of dollars in your pocket and make you feel a certain type
I didn't
of
say
way
that's
about
why
your
they joined
cause.
them. Now that's weak.
Most of the time, that's why
that's weak.
There's always money in play when it comes to something like that. There's no black man who's going to turn against his people just for the hell of it, unless you put some money in his pocket.
If you feel you are locked, there are tons of people.
Like, no black man is going to be that emotional that he felt lied to that he would turn on his people.
Exactly.
You got to put money in this.
You have to put something. Okay, you have to put something else on the table.
You got to
push them toward that. Yes. Was their mindset already willing to do it? To a degree. That's why they accept it. Because we are black men, and when we make a decision, it doesn't matter what you put in front of us. I agree with you with that. In terms of what you were saying that people wouldn't do it, let's take religion. All the people who are gung-ho for religion, they give their life for it. Their life for it. And then the moment they realize, crap, I've been lied to about this story, this place, this story, this place. What do? They leave it. They go to the far extreme on it. Some folks kill themselves. That's the exact same thing.
But that's also a minority there, because there's a lot of, most people in this country grew up with, especially African people, black people grew up with a religion.
That's the kind
and then they've deviated from that, and now they're just, they're still operating. I don't think everyone who deviates from realizes, oh, I've been scammed by religion or whatever, now goes to kill themselves. I don't even think it's a quarter of it. I don't think it's 25%.
No, I was just saying an extreme of actions that people take to the point where they would give their life for this cause, for this religion, and then they realize they are lied to, and it completely demoralizes them. And there are a lot of folks, I dare say tons, the majority of people, especially when it comes to religion, who when they feel disheartened about the stances that they've been taking in their life, completely just go like, you know what, well, let me try the other way. And they don't kill themselves, but they go down paths that slowly kill their spirit until they finally are rejuvenated by something that refocuses them and say, oh, you know what? Okay, well, I can still choose my path. Let me choose this, this, and this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
but you see, that's why I go back to being a weak-minded individual. Because even if, and I'm talking from experience myself too, I was brought up in a Christian home. I was brought up believing everything you could have believed in the Christian religion. And then one day I took a step back. I don't know if somebody told me something. I decided to look up stuff myself. But I realized a lot of it was lie. But I didn't go to any extreme. All I did was I was disappointed in a lot of stuff. I took a step back, regrouped myself, and then I started seeking for the truth myself. And I started educating myself and teaching myself. And I started looking for different books to read and different sites and links and different type of stuff, and start searching for the truth myself. So I'm not going to let, even if I was betrayed by some faith or some belief in something, I'm not going to let that destroy me as an individual.
So let me clarify, because I took the same path too. And by destroy, I don't mean you're now poor or homeless, living on the street, just completely demoralized. I'm talking about the folks who are living demoralized, who are depressed for a season because the things that they have believed in is different, who no longer follow the principles. You're like, you know what? F it. I'm gonna have sex with whoever. Let me drink as much as I can. Let me smoke as much as I can. Yeah, in my core, am I gonna go to the far extreme and just be a drunkard? No, that's not in my being. But I'm now letting loose on more of the morality that I once carried. That's what I'm talking about.
But you're just giving one example, because also there's plenty of people that going through the educational system, they find out that they've been lied to, and it inspires a deeper thirst for knowledge. It actually invigorates that thirst for knowledge. They don't go the opposite and say, I don't want to learn anything no more.
Man, there are tons. I would love if everyone took that road of, if they feel disappointed or disenchanted with something, then they would take the initiative to go out on their own and search for truth. Honestly, that's the whole point of education itself, to give people the tools and the skills that when they're ready to find truth, they now can read, comprehend their reading, reflect on that reading by writing properly, and then analyze it to deduce what the truth is. Like, that's what the point is. Does it do that? No. Majority of people, when they feel like education is not working for them, this is some BS and crap, they do not do that. They don't go to books. You know why? Because in school, they didn't learn how to properly read. They didn't learn how to comprehend. They didn't learn how to consciously analyze what is in this book. So they don't have the skills to even do that.
Well, I also think there's a bit of compartmentalization there. I think they're not doing that because of a whole host of other factors, including the diet that keeps us on a certain frequency, that it's not opening the meditation that we lack, the music and the entertainment that we're listening to. So when you factor all of those things in, I think that's more so why they do what you just said, as opposed to just finding out they've been lied to. A lot of people, when they find out information is wrong, they're too lazy to even go search for what's actually right.
That's
you
true.
know what I'm saying? And it's just like, I really want to know, and I've been asking, and I still haven't found an answer. What is the harm for the overgeneralization or the extreme, as we're gonna put it, as you put it, excuse me? Like, what does that harm as opposed to something that you would say could possibly happen? What could we tangibly see that would say, hey, the majority of people who would think like this is the negative that's going to happen, and we can see it in real time. We can't see someone's spiritual potential. That's who can be the judge of that, really? We can see their actions or whatever, but what tangibly would be the negative consequence from holding that type of stance in the circumstances we find ourselves in?
I mean, well, white folk have done that to us. They think that we're evil. I mean, look at what it's done for their internal state. They're not in a good place. I know they're not. I know that you got millionaires who OD on the toilet. Like,
But the place that they're in internally, that didn't start with them propagating all black people are evil. Their genesis, their inception. Because I always look back to actions. When someone from the natural sun, when they can't exist outside, then I know something within their inception is like off. So I wouldn't say that because they've done it to us, they're now in the state that the things they suffer from is a result of that. I don't think that's a cause and effect right there.
Okay. I've been listening for a while. I'm jumping and I'm hearing everybody saying things, and this is wonderful conversation. Yeah, I don't care. These are the types of conversations we need to be having for real. So I think to try to jump in on that question, it's a couple things. We talked about weak-minded people and talking about people who might be susceptible to some of this stuff. Think about a large majority of people. There's probably a lot of weak-minded people out there. That's why there's a difference between leaders and followers. Mm-hmm. You know, there's very few leaders and a whole lot of followers. So to try to jump in on your question, Zeke, I think the possibility of being wrong, it may be a reason why we might not want to go down that path. Because if we are, and then we have to look at the actions that person will probably take. You know, sometimes extreme people do extreme things, and it might not get the result that we are trying to get here when we're talking about educating them and getting them to that point and that level where they need to be internally. Mm-hmm. So if they're off doing extreme things, they're not getting there themselves, you know. So I think that the possibility, and again, there may not be something absolutely tangible that may be wrong to say that, but the possibility that you might lose one, and there's a lot of weak people minded out there. So, and the fact that we may not have to do that. I think there's other things we can tell them. I think doing that, being examples in their experiences, will probably get them to a conclusion where they need to get to anyway. Also, I mean, I don't think you yourself should have to say that. I think who you are, your actions, how you dictate, and being an example will give people what they need, you know? Again, we're talking about people of action, so sometimes your words don't really mean much anyway. It's going to be what you dictate and what you present to people, and that'll give them what they need sometimes. And also, I mean, and again, I know we're on the podcast and we're talking right now, but the unification, the people who are doing the educating like we are now, there's a couple of us around this room, right? Our unified voice becomes what we want people to see. So it's not just you. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So I know we talked like weeks ago. We talked about like having one person in the mouthpiece and that person can fall. So it's not so much you saying that; it's what the unification of the collective people who are educating say. Mm-hmm. You know, so not trying to isolate you or put you out there, but I don't think you have to say it. I don't think you have to say it. I think it comes down to the responsibility of the collective people who are doing the education and what they say collectively. So that's why this conversation to me was important, because we do have some differences around the room. That's okay. I think eventually we get there. Remember, we're still in the infancy of trying to put this all together. We are. So we might not be in a place with as a people to get us there yet. We still got to figure out, like you said before, how we going to get there within the people who have this mindset. And again, we're talking about leaders here, which means there's very few of us. So we're talking about the leaders, how we can come together, how we can have these conversations to get our people there. So when we are speaking to a young person, we were telling them, we already know what we're going to do.
Okay, but quick, I just want to jump on a few things you said. For one, I know it's not for any individual, it's for the educators.
Yeah.
But what are the educators, like, what stance are the educators going to be educating the masses with?
And that's what I was saying. That's why we have to continue to unify, you know?
Right. And then it's like, you see, the problem I have, the reason I feel like it needs to be said is because I know how warm and loving my people are. I know that slavery doesn't even happen and exist without the love of and the welcoming of my people. Sometimes your greatest strength can be your greatest weakness.
Very true.
So my people, we have to, because we have a natural inclination to be loving, to be accepting, to be forthcoming, all of that, it's like we have to, if someone wants to call it extreme exaggeration or whatever, we have to start getting into like some real military minded war shit, because we're in a war. And when you're talking about, we might potentially lose one person, there's casualties in war. There's a lot more than one person that's going to be lost. There's going to be millions of people that are going to die simply due to their own reluctance. You know what I'm saying? And another thing too, I wanted to jump in with Shaka, is like, a lot of things we're talking about, we're assuming that we have time. They got the drones, the machines out. They can control your water flow. They got control of the food. Mm-hmm. You just talked about somebody who invests a lot of money in the opposing protest stuff because they're trying to get the martial law or whatever kicked on and all of that. It's like things are the ball is rolling. Mm-hmm. This whole process, the whole slavery thing, the whole going into Egypt thing thousands of years ago and all of that, there's a grand scheme, a grand plan to this, right. And we're moving closer and closer to that. They know that certain systems and certain institutions aren't sustainable. Right. And now that we're in a social media age to where people you can't program people as easily now because they have so many different perspectives, so many different mediums, all of that stuff. So it's like, it's hard to just program people. So with that being said, it's like, they've hit the button. Things are rolling. We don't have the time to just, hey, if I can reach one person 4 years from now, then I feel good. It's like in that 4-year time, millions of people have died.
So in saying that and agreeing with everything you're saying, doesn't that mean we need as many soldiers as possible?
We need, yeah.
That means we need as many people on our side, on our stance, as possible.
Right.
That's inclusive.
No, and when we saying that, I'm only talking about African people. I'm not going to trust the good dude white person in the front lines of battle to risk everything for me. And I don't expect them to. I'm not trusting the Asian person to do that. They did that for themselves when it was necessary. They didn't ask me to join them. So now I'm going to ask them to join me. I have to take care and show that I'm able to protect and serve myself first. And when that's in line, then I can start including other people for it.
That's very true. That's very true. Yet, in all wars, you plan for moves ahead. So, presupposing that you get your stuff in order, you're still going to have to make alliances with folks outside of yourself to topple something greater than yourself. Mm-hmm. Right?
Right.
Would you do that? Especially since our stance have a lot of morality and spirituality to it, it's something that you consider evil.
Say that again.
All right. Basically, would you align yourself with folks who have a similar goal, yet you consider evil?
They have a similar goal.
Yes, there are people who do not consider themselves Africans yet,
Uh-huh.
who also want to dethrone, topple, change a Western culture that does not benefit human beings or their spirituality.
Okay. So what about them?
So that includes people who call themselves as white folks.
Okay, so they form their organization. They do whatever they're doing.
Which was that's what I'm saying. Which was happening. There's historical
Okay.
blueprints for this. The difference is they got caught wind of it. When the Black Panthers were doing it, they were making alliances with white hicks. They
Okay.
were making alliances with Asians, Latinos, folks from all over the place, because they finally got them to understand that it was bigger than just one group, and complaining about race and saying this group is evil, this group is evil, is divide and conquer. It was pointless toward the common goal of breaking down Western civilization. Anyway.
Okay, well, yeah, you know, we're gonna we unfortunately, it's a great topic. We gotta wrap it up.
Yeah, I
We
love
can't-
it, man.
Yeah,
I
we
love
can't
this.
be here forever. So we're gonna get to the business side of things here, and what we usually do to conclude. Yeah, we're gonna kind of leave it like that, even though I'm itching to say something. Yeah,
Unity.
yeah, but
But you know, my thing is, I think I keep saying these are great conversations to have. Even if at this point everyone at the table we didn't come to an agreement, or we're not completely on the same page, I think at least we understand where we are, you know. And I don't think that's a bad thing right now. We're getting there. We're at least at the table having this conversation, you know. So even if we didn't leave here like, yeah, we're all there, but that's, you know, this is where we're going with this, you know. And also we're doing this for people listening too. And so I think this was a great topic also to get people who might not even be in this mindset to be thinking about this stuff. Now we gave them something, you know. And so to me that's still the goal of what we're doing here. So you know, I appreciate everyone being at this table. I really do. We'll continue to do this. I'm going to shout out a couple businesses. I don't know if anyone else has anything.
If I could say in conclusion, going back to the topic of the podcast, as far as the whole conforming thing, what I'll leave everyone with is, if you're going into the establishment and they have these rules set up, and it's their business and their company, by all means, you have to abide by these rules. Now, is this equal rights and justice and with respect to people's culture? I don't think it is. So if we strongly feel that way about it, and speaking earlier, talking about using our own businesses and stuff like that, to be quite honest, that is a great idea. But for something like that to actually have an impact on Black lives, it'll take years. It'll take really uniting and people who have the resources to create these businesses where we have these job opportunities, where we can go as we are, as far as our culture allow us to, without being coming in there being with any type of ratchet or ghetto behavior or anything like that. Put that aside. We come in there the way we're supposed to. That's something that's going to take a long time, and it's going to require a lot of us to come together and really work together as one. I'm not saying it's impossible. It's possible. But I think in order to get a more effective result, I think going into the corporate world, we have to stand up for our rights. Yes, it's their rules, and it's their company, and if you want to succeed, as they say, you know, you fake it till you make it. I don't believe in that.
right.
If we really want to be treated as equal citizens, then we have to start standing up to certain things.
Exactly.
And if I have to come in there and I can see a white man with a beard and a suit on, and he is okay, but I'm told that because I'm black, my beard makes me look offensive, or somebody might feel a certain type of way, then there's no equality there. And in order for that type of behavior, so I must shave and all that, in order for that type of behavior to change, where I have to change who I am, my identity, my culture, in order for, we have to put our foot down, we have to say no. And I think the more we do that, we can have a greater impact in the corporate world than relying on ourselves to create the resources to have the business and the job opportunities for us to be ourselves that way.
Right.
Again, it's not impossible, but I think we'll stand because when we protest, especially when we're behind our protest in the sense where we don't come out there for one day, we hold a picket sign and we go like this and then, we're back to business as usual. When you firmly protest something, I always like to use the Arab Spring as an example. When those people went out there for months, hundreds of thousands of them, till something was done. If we have that spirit, then we can change a lot.
Right.
We don't have that spirit. We don't have those leaders who can go out there, and that's why when you talked about that whole going out there with the horn thing, I like the idea because we don't have those leaders anymore.
Right.
So this is why when these rules are thrown at us, we give into it. And then we're upset at ourselves. I'm pretty sure there's some dude who's mad he had to cut his dreadlocks to go to work. Or some dude who's mad he had to do this or mad. We give in to these things, man. So in order for these things to change, then we have to start saying no.
Right.
What's wrong if my beard has no impact on my ability to do the job and to get the job done the way you need to, then I should be able to wear a beard.
Exactly.
And again, this is something that's coming out of me as a human being.
Yeah.
This is natural. You're telling me
Right.
to change something that's natural about
Right.
me because you feel a certain type of way of how it looks.
Yeah.
That's not my fault.
Right.
That's your fault.
Right.
So yeah, I think we need to put our foot down, and we need to let these people know that we're not gonna change who we are just to survive in your world. Because if this world belonged to us, it would be unfair for us to say you have to grow a beard to come and work in my business.
Yeah.
You have to. That is my rule. You have to rock a beard. It would be unfair for us to do that to them. You gotta grow some dreadlocks if you want to come work for this company. They wouldn't like that.
Yeah.
Double standard.
Right.
So I just wanted to end it on that note,
Nah, that's
and
great.
I'm gonna pass it on
Yeah.
Definitely
to Dre.
bring a little bit of that real quick too.
Just a quick closing thought. I think another great way to help change this, not being conforming or not being treated right, we just got to be better. Because let's say you own a business, and the majority of the black, employees are the ones that are generating the most. You're not going to want to let those people go because they're boosting your money. So now, if we don't conform, if we have our beards, if we love our culture and we're the best in the company, how can you fire me? Now you're not going to make any money. So now we got to be the best. I mean, yeah, I'm not going to say that there won't be some that'll lose their position. There will be, because of obvious reasons or whatever. But if the majority of us are really good and it's undeniable, we can get what we want that way. And not only that, with our wives, we have to be united with them as well, because our wives are moving up that corporate ladder and we need them there to even carry on what we're trying to do as well. That's why we can't be divided in our relationships also, because that's double power. So we gotta get this. We gotta be the best, so then we can become the best.
I agree with everything that's been said, and I take it to be that we have, as a people, we have to be more unified and knowledgeable. If we know what our rights are, then we can act on them. And unity, I think, it has a lot to do with the family unit and what is taught to us at a young age and what is taught to us in schools. So we can have a purpose, a grander purpose, when we do go into these jobs, acknowledging and knowing that our efforts are not solely for ourselves, but for those who are coming after us. I think that's something that our grandparents' generation knew and felt a lot more than the generations after them. And I think if we keep that in mind, that there's a purpose for future generations, and that's what we're prepping for, as well as making sure each other are knowledgeable, then things will move a lot quicker than we think, because opportunities are there. And lastly, that if we have entrepreneurs who create black businesses, that we support them, that we do unify to the point that, one, we acknowledge that they are black businesses and we are okay with supporting them. Because it's one thing to start a business, but if you don't have anybody paying for your stuff, then you're not going to stay afloat. We don't have the generational wealth yet like that to keep doing it. So I think that's really what it is. Make sure we're knowledgeable about our rights, our rules, unifying, and making sure that we teach the next generation and know that our purpose in working is preparing a way for that next generation. It's not just in vain.
All right. And for me to close, I just want to say everything. I agree with everything everybody was saying. Josiah, when you was talking about standing up for different things in the corporate environment, the thing is that we really have to drive home is like, and we'll do some later shows on these topics, but we have to define laws and codes that we're gonna all agree to live by, and then we have to diligently work on how to enforce them, because that's the most important thing. Because if you say, hey, you know, I'm not feeling you trying to get me to cut my beard or whatever, with the way things are right now, they just gonna say, okay, bye, and there's gonna be the next guy that looks exactly like you that's willing to do it. You see what I'm saying? So then nothing ever changes because they're able to find someone else who will do it. So as long as we can start, you know, either you're gonna live by what we're trying to do, or you're kind of ostracized from any type of support or interaction that we're gonna give, you know. And then that's just how I feel. But go ahead, Kate.
No, I'm gonna go ahead. Again, I appreciate you fellas for coming out. I always appreciate these conversations. So to wrap it up, I'm gonna go ahead and shout out. We got a couple businesses we shout out. One, our longtime sponsor, Just Tent. If you get a chance, go ahead and check them out. They're out here in the Silver Spring area. They know online too, justtent.com. Tell them, you know, you listen to the podcast, BMV Magazine. They'll hook you up. They treat you right. Never had a bad experience there. They get my tent from there. My cars be looking nice. Also, Black Compass Group Clothing Company. Again, check them out. They just got the new fall line that just came out. They got hats, they got clothes, they got everything you need. They're getting you right too. So check them out, Black Compass Clothing. Again, check them out online. They're all over social media. Let them know you came from us. They might give you a discount. I'm pretty sure they hook you up too. But yeah, just hold them down. So also in closing, one more.
My man, Coach Antonio Boyd. Check him out on YouTube, the Let Me Be Great team.
Okay.
Inspirational guy.
Let me be great.
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to this business, Elite Bodies LLC. It's a personal training service for small group personal training, boot camp, individual training session, and weight loss program. Young black entrepreneur brother doing this thing out in Colesville. You can check out the website at www.elitebodies.net.
Okay. Anyone else? All right, so I'm gonna go get my swole on. I got my clothes. I get my car right. That's how we doing. That's how we build a network. We letting you know what's up. Also to wrap up too, again, check out the Black Elephant. We're all over social media, so make sure check us out on Instagram at the Black Elephant. Instagram, the Black Elephant Podcast. Also, where else? I know. Check us out. Podcasts come up on SoundCloud. And then don't forget to check us out, BMV Magazine. So www.bmvmagazineonline.com. And remember, y'all, support, show us love. If you feedback, comments, let us know what's going on. Also, I know you can check us out. Send feedback. Email info.bmvmag@gmail.com. Also, what's the Black Elephant email?
The Black Elephant email is the Black Elephant Podcast at gmail.com.
Yeah. You see there's a reoccurring theme here.
And the Snapchat, you know, we got that. That's the Snapchat, Black Elephant PC.
Look, we got everything.
Yeah,
we got everything. We're going to find you at some point. So,
Black Elephant.
It's the Black Elephant. Look, so we had fun here, fellas. I tell you, we do this again. Until then, peace.
In the summertime, you see how our environment is growing, even though we still poverty struck. We gonna grow. We gonna make it out of here. Trust me. You know, And Internet James, I wish you luck, brother, and success with your rap career and your future and everything else.
Just another dog. Here's another list to get your sister involved. Cause our box is in vogue, your box is all. We won't say it at all. We won't stay too long. My mama smell the weed, my mama smell the drink. She think you fleur de lis. How she think you saint when you involved with me? What's the problem? Oh, I done solve it. Oh, is you down to ride? Fuck it, let's get high. Break down that chocolate on your chocolate thighs. You my favorite Mary, but Miss Parker's fine. Matter of fact, let me park and blow Miss Parker's mind. Summertime do, and summer nights fine like summer nights cool. And I just won't find no loving like yo, no loving like yo, no loving like yo. Summertime shine like summertime do, and summer nights fine like summer nights cool. And I just won't find no loving like yo, no loving like yo, no loving like yo. I should tap my face, fuck it, I'm paid. And if it's love, then it's nothing. You could tap my name, tap the government name, or tap the Internet James. I'm Lil Moco, it's cool, we both one and the same. And you my neo soul sister, so glow like that raw misting. Seen you on the dance floor, dirty wine getting it. Walked up on your patois, wagwan sister. I heard if you can't dance, then you can't fuck. So back that dance up and show me what's up. Show me you know, show me that you know you in love. Show me that you know you in lust. Ayy. Like summertime do, and summer nights fine like summer nights cool. And I just won't find no loving like yo, no loving like yo, no loving like yo. Summertime shine like summertime do, and summer nights fine like summer nights cool. And I just won't find no loving like yo, no loving like yo, no loving like yo.
Summertime shine like summertime do, and summer nights fine like summer nights cool. And I just won't find no loving like you, no loving like you, no loving like you. Summertime fine like summertime's cool, and summer nights shine like summer nights do. And I just won't find no loving like you, no loving like you, no loving like you.